Master Manipulator, Emperor of the Galactic Empire, and Dark Lord of the Sith, Emperor Palpatine, also known as Darth Sidious, is the main antagonist of the latest Fortnite season, Chapter 6, Mini-Season 1, Galactic Battle. After arriving in Reality 783 with his Death Star, Palpatine has his sights set on the island of Oninoshima. But why is he here, and who is Emperor Palpatine? Being the main villain of the Skywalker saga and one of the most powerful Sith in the Star Wars universe, Palpatine's story could be the key to help us understand his sinister plan and role in Fortnite's storyline. So sit back, relax, and let's dive deep into the story of Darth Sidious. All the information about Palpatine's story will be drawn from all Star Wars canon media. Given the fact that Palpatine is the main antagonist of the Skywalker saga, he has a ton of lore, but I was able to condense it so I can give you a somewhat detailed yet simple enough understanding of who he is. So let's begin. In 84 BBY, 84 years before the Battle of Yavin, Sheev Palpatine was born on the mid-rim planet of Naboo. Born into a noble and influential family, Palpatine possessed lots of wealth. Because of this, as he grew older, he was able to establish many connections with various credible politicians across Naboo. These connections allowed him to gain lots of knowledge about governance and the subtleties of power. Eventually, Palpatine came across the Sith Lord, Darth Plagueis. Ever since birth, Palpatine possessed a strong connection to the Force as well. Plagueis realized this and the potential Palpatine had, so he took in Palpatine as his own Sith apprentice and bestowed upon him the name of Darth Sidious. Over the many years, Palpatine's knowledge and power in both politics and the dark side grew exponentially. Eventually, he rose to power in the Galactic Senate and became the Senator of Naboo. Having this position of power within the government and by being a secretive Sith Lord, Palpatine used both of his identities to manipulate others in an effort to further his political agenda. As the Senator of Naboo, Palpatine was a part of Queen Padme Amidala's inner circle. His deceptive tactics made the people of Naboo believe that he was a sincere and trustworthy servant of the people. But behind their backs, Darth Sidious was scheming an invasion of his homeworld of Naboo to further his manipulation of the Galactic Senate and allow him to gain more political power. During this time, Palpatine had come across the rumored Chosen One, known as Anakin Skywalker. Palpatine realized the boy's potential in the Force and stated that he would watch Anakin's career with great interest. This would mark the beginning of Palpatine grooming Anakin to eventually become his apprentice and slowly making the boy more susceptible to the dark side. Aside from that, Sidious had also been training his own Sith apprentice, Darth Maul. Palpatine sent his apprentice to Naboo to capture Queen Amidala to force her to sign a treaty, but Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn and his Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi were there to protect her. So Maul had revealed himself to the Jedi and the three had an intense battle. In the end, Darth Maul managed to kill Qui-Gon Jinn and he nearly killed Obi-Wan too. But Maul ended up getting outsmarted and defeated by Kenobi. Although the invasion of Naboo had failed and Palpatine's apprentice had seemingly died, the turmoil from the invasion stirred up enough chaos within the Senate that allowed Palpatine to manipulate his way into becoming the new Supreme Chancellor. This was a grand victory that he celebrated with his master Darth Plagueis. However, after their celebration, Palpatine betrayed and killed Plagueis in his sleep. He no longer needed his master since Darth Plagueis had taught Sidious everything he knew. By killing his master, Palpatine maintained the ancient Sith decree known as the Rule of Two, which was established by Darth Bane, allowing only 2 Sith Lords to exist at any given time. With his master and apprentice now out of the picture, Palpatine sought a new apprentice to continue his Grand Master plan while continuing to keep an eye on Anakin, who had recently become Obi-Wan Kenobi's Padawan. The new apprentice that Palpatine chose was former Jedi Master Count Dooku. Behind the scenes, Count Dooku became disillusioned with the Jedi Order and sought more power, which led him to eventually ally with Darth Sidious. But upon learning about the death of his former apprentice, Qui-Gon Jinn, Dooku confronted Palpatine. During their confrontation, it turned out that Dooku was followed by Jedi Master Yaddle. To solidify his loyalty to Sidious, Count Dooku was tasked with killing his old friend Master Yaddle. And once the deed had been done, Dooku embraced the dark side and was given the Sith name Darth Tyrannus. With the help of his new apprentice, Palpatine was able to effortlessly manipulate both the Separatists and the Republic, allowing him to receive emergency powers from the Senate and orchestrate the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars began on the planet Geonosis between the Republic's new clone army and the Separatist droid army. Just as Palpatine planned, the Jedi were caught in the middle of the war, which forced them to fight in it. Unbeknownst to them, the war not only served as an excuse for Palpatine to further grow in political power, but it also served as training for the young Jedi Anakin Skywalker, who Palpatine sought to eventually make his apprentice. The war allowed Sidious to get closer to Anakin and mentor him, instilling a dangerous, ambitious side into him. As the Clone Wars raged on, Palpatine was presented with an unforeseen challenge, which happened to be the return of his former apprentice that was presumed to be dead, Darth Maul. Maul's hatred and anger towards Obi-Wan Kenobi allowed him to survive his injuries and eventually fully recover thanks to the help of his brother Savage Opress and his mother, Mother Talzin. Since then, Maul had grown in power, becoming the new ruler of the planet Mandalore and even making his brother his own Sith apprentice. Darth Sidious had sensed this disturbance, and to ensure Maul wouldn't hinder his plans, he personally dealt with the two, killing Savage and taking Maul captive. Sidious purposely left Maul alive and held him captive so Maul could call upon Mother Talzin. Talzin posed a threat to Sidious's power, and he wanted her dead. Fortunately, everything went according to Palpatine's plan, and he faced off with Mother Talzin on the planet of Dathomir. In order to help her son Maul escape, Mother Talzin sacrificed herself, and General Grievous took the opportunity by plunging both of his lightsabers into her body, eliminating the witch for good. As for Maul, his future had been erased, and Palpatine was no longer concerned about him since he posed no threat. With Palpatine's Grand Master plan almost complete, he decided it was finally time to make Anakin Skywalker his new apprentice. That being said, Palpatine devised a plan to be captured by the Separatists in order for Skywalker to rescue him. In doing so, he would manipulate Anakin into killing Count Dooku, which would further tempt Skywalker to the dark side and eventually lead to him replacing Darth Tyrannus as Sidious's new apprentice. And just as planned, everything transpired according to Palpatine's design. After a confrontation with General Grievous, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker managed to successfully escort Chancellor Palpatine back to the Senate building. But with Dooku now gone, Palpatine began to move quickly to finalize his grand scheme. In order to completely seduce Anakin with the dark side, he had Grievous return to the planet of Utapau to serve as bait to lure Kenobi away from the planet of Coruscant, but more specifically away from Anakin. This made Skywalker more vulnerable than ever. At the same time, the Jedi began to distrust Chancellor Palpatine, so they appointed Anakin Skywalker to spy on Palpatine, which Anakin did not take lightly. Palpatine, of course, knew about this and used it to his advantage. Sensing Anakin's inner turmoil and worry about his wife dying in child labor, Sidious told Skywalker a story about his master, Darth Plagueis the Wise.
Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
In the story, Palpatine spoke about how Darth Plagueis possessed such strength in the dark side of the Force that he could use it to save the ones closest to him from dying. This story greatly intrigued Anakin Skywalker, especially after he had seen visions of his wife dying, and he asked if it's possible to learn this power, to which Palpatine responded with,
"Not from a Jedi."
Drawing Anakin ever so closer to the dark side. Upon learning that his master Obi-Wan Kenobi was being sent to Utapau, Anakin spoke with Palpatine the following day, expressing his frustrations with the Jedi Council. Palpatine utilized the conversation to plant more seeds of doubt about the Jedi Council and Anakin, which eventually led to him revealing himself as the Sith Lord Darth Sidious. Anakin wanted to kill Palpatine at that very moment, but he couldn't. Skywalker was deeply conflicted. He wanted to destroy the Sith, but he also wanted to learn the power to save his wife from death. So instead, he chose to turn in Sidious to the Jedi Council and inform Master Mace Windu about this revelation. Following that conversation, Palpatine was confronted by Mace Windu and 3 other Jedi who were planning on arresting him, but Palpatine had other plans.
It's treason, then.
He swiftly killed the other 3 Jedi who accompanied Mace Windu, but he struggled with fighting Windu and eventually was overpowered by him. The rule of the Sith was just nearly about to end for good, but then Anakin Skywalker arrived just in time to save Palpatine and Mace Windu was defeated. In that very moment, Skywalker had decided to pledge himself to Darth Sidious's teachings and become his new apprentice. Henceforth, he was bestowed upon the infamous name of Darth Vader. At long last, all the pieces had fallen into place for Palpatine, and his plan was finally complete. Sidious brought an end to the Clone Wars thanks to the inhibitor chips implanted within the brains of the clones. He commanded the clones to commence the Great Jedi Purge known as Order 66, and without hesitations, the clones immediately turned on their Jedi generals and executed them all with the exception of those who managed to survive. Following Order 66, Palpatine immediately addressed the Senate and officially reorganized the Republic into the First Galactic Empire, declaring himself as Emperor. However, his grand victory still came with somewhat of a loss. Following Order 66, he was confronted by Jedi Grandmaster Yoda, and Darth Vader was confronted by his former master Obi-Wan Kenobi. While Palpatine was able to just narrowly win against Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi completely defeated his former apprentice, leaving him to die on Mustafar. However, Vader's hatred for Kenobi allowed him to cling on to life, and once Sidious found him, Vader was immediately rushed to a medical facility where he was given his iconic and intimidating dark armor. Over the span of a generation, Palpatine remained virtually unchallenged as Emperor and ruled the Star Wars galaxy with an iron fist, continuing his manipulation of the Imperial Senate and the citizens of the Empire. Sidious deliberately manipulated Admiral Rampart to use his fleet of Star Destroyers to secretly annihilate Tipoca City on the planet of Kamino, destroying any evidence about Palpatine orchestrating the Clone Wars. Through his manipulation, Palpatine was able to easily phase out the clone troopers since he pinned the destruction of Kamino on Rampart and the clones, and ushered in the era of the Imperial Stormtroopers. Palpatine's thirst for power also did not end. In 1 BBY, the Empire took control of the Lothal Jedi Temple, where they unearthed an ancient painting of the Mortis gods, who were embodiments of the light side, dark side, and balance of the Force. Emperor Palpatine believed this painting was a gateway to the world between worlds, which is a place in the Star Wars universe where time and space could be manipulated. Sidious was obsessed with unlocking this portal. Jedi Padawan Ezra Bridger managed to figure out the secret of the painting and enter the mystical plane. Through using the dark arts, Palpatine was able to peer into the world between worlds but not enter it. He saw Bridger within the plane along with the friend he saved, Ahsoka Tano, and he tried to capture them so he himself could enter the world between worlds. But in the end, Palpatine ultimately failed and Ezra Bridger managed to escape. Bridger sealed the portal, making it collapse in on itself, which handed Palpatine a terrible defeat. The rebellion posed a threat to Palpatine's empire, and this defeat would unfortunately be followed by another in the following year in 0 BBY. The Emperor suffered a major defeat after the destruction of the first Death Star at the hands of the rebellion. But he took special notice of the rebel that destroyed the Death Star. It was the son of Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker. His Jedi powers had greatly developed, and Palpatine feared that Luke could destroy him, so Sidious planned to have the boy killed, but Darth Vader suggested that the Jedi could be converted to the dark side, which was an idea that the Emperor found intriguing. As the Empire began the construction of the second Death Star, Palpatine made a rare visit from Coruscant to oversee its completion. He did this purposefully to trap the rebels and Luke Skywalker. The rebels believed that the Death Star was unfinished, but its looks were deceiving, and the battle station was actually fully operational. When Luke arrived, he sought to turn his father, Darth Vader, back to the light side of the Force, but instead he was brought before Darth Sidious. Sidious toyed with the boy and encouraged him to use his hatred and strike him down. Luke gave in, which led to Skywalker fighting his father and nearly kill him in rage, which is exactly what Sidious wanted, so that Luke would take his father's place as Palpatine's new apprentice. But Luke managed to come to his senses and threw away his lightsaber, refusing to turn to the dark side. Darth Sidious hadn't foreseen this, so he had decided that Luke must die and angrily shot Force lightning at the young Jedi. What Palpatine didn't expect was what happened next. Luke's love for his father restored the light within Darth Vader, and refusing to let his son die, Vader grabbed Sidious and threw him down a deep shaft, marking the end of Palpatine's tyrannical reign as Emperor of the Galaxy. In the main Star Wars canon timeline, it was revealed in a sequel trilogy that Palpatine actually survived. Using Darth Plagueis' teachings, he managed to transfer his essence into an imperfect clone vessel of himself. From there, he schemed in the shadows, building a new Sith Empire, and manipulated Darth Vader's grandson, Ben Solo, who many of you know as Kylo Ren, into turning to the dark side. In 35 ABY, Palpatine finally announced his return to the galaxy through a mysterious broadcast, which was actually heard in Reality Zero during the Fortnite X Star Wars event. Take a look.
At last the work of generations is complete. The great error is corrected. The day of victory is at hand. The day of revenge. The day of the Sith.
This all led up to a massive final battle between the Resistance and Sidious's final order. In the end, Palpatine was vanquished for good after his granddaughter, Rey, denied him and called upon the strength of all the departed Jedi to turn his own power against him, destroying Darth Sidious once and for all. And that, my fellow lore keepers, is the story of Emperor Palpatine in the Star Wars canon. However, in the Fortnite universe, the Palpatine that launched an attack on Reality 783 is from the original trilogy. It seems that somehow
Palpatine returned.
the prequel, original, and sequel trilogies all merged into one. But how? With the fact that the Empire has mastered reality travel via sideways rifts in mind, and that all the Star Wars eras have converged, I theorize that Palpatine could potentially be in possession of the Zero Shard. In the Remix the Finale event, we were able to see 2 Zero Shards. So what if the second one ended up in a Star Wars reality? To add on to this theory, something interesting to note about Palpatine's Emperor's Command loading screen is that it features the Chapter 1 island. If this was a deliberate choice, then it's very interesting. If Palpatine has a Zero Shard, perhaps he somehow learned about Reality Zero, its past, and maybe even the Zero Point itself. As I mentioned earlier in the video, Palpatine was very interested in the world between worlds. Unfortunately for him, he was never able to get into it. But now if he has a Zero Shard, anything he desires is possible. In Star Wars, the Sith are known for their relentless pursuit of power. So this could be why Palpatine is now in Reality 783. If he has one Zero Shard, then he likely learned about there being more out there, and now he wants to collect them all. Let me know what you guys think about this theory. If you'd like to stay up to date with Fortnite's storyline, make sure to subscribe. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one, lore keepers. May the Force be with you.